Hey everybody, Cinemastic this year with another weekly watch video for you, where we take a look at all the titles that I've recently been watching, and I briefly discuss them. So like always, let's get right down to it so we can get through these as quickly as possible. There are 10 titles here to show you, so let's just get right down to it. So the first title we have here is Won't Back Down. Did enjoy this movie. The reason mainly that I wanted to see this is because, well, A, it has Maggie Gyllenhaal in it, who I'm madly in love with, but also the fact that I did see a trailer for this and thought it looked fairly interesting. Looked like it could be a good story, and all in all, it was. It's your typical kind of feel-good, family-friendly sort of story where Maggie Gyllenhaal's character is sort of fed up with this school and the way they're treating the students. They don't really give a shit. Just kind of pushing them all to the side. They're just kind of doing it for a paycheck instead of doing it for the love of teaching and wanting to actually help the students. She gets fed up. They end up taking the school over in the sense that apparently there's this thing where they can actually, it's sort of like the teachers and the parents can get together and kind of like overthrow the who's in charge of the school and be in charge of themselves. And it's really hard to do, and the chances of doing that are really slim, but they end up doing it barely, but they of course end up doing it. And apparently this is all based off a true story. How much liberties they take, I don't know. I'm sure plenty. It's a movie. Liberties are usually taken when it comes to things that are based on true stories, but I'm sure it's at least somewhat truthful. And I did enjoy this movie. Thought it was pretty decent. Nothing amazing, but pretty decent. Very much anti labor union though. Which I found really amusing because not only did I feel the movie was just very anti-labor union, which I'm not pro, I'm not against labor unions. I realize there's the good and there's bad to labor unions. That they do many good things, especially for the people in the unions. But there's also some negative things to go along with it. You know, it's a catch-22, double-edged sword, whatever you want to say when it comes to labor unions. So there's good and there's bad, like there pretty much is with everything. But in this one, they really kind of bash them and really like knock them down a few pegs, where the labor unions like just kind of like the devil in this movie, and they're very much the union's very much just looking out for the teachers, doesn't give a shit about the students. Like when the students join the labor union, we'll help them out. Until then, screw them. We only care about the students, or we only care about the teachers. And it's kind of like, damn, it's kind of messed up. And then of course at the end of the movie, after like the credits roll, there's a little thing saying like this movie was made in help with like unions and blah blah blah. So basically, it's kind of like, we're sorry, we really said a lot of bad stuff about unions. Sorry about that. It was kind of like they were apologizing, which I guess in Hollywood you kind of have to do, because from what I hear, unions are very big in Hollywood, and you're pretty much either with unions or you just don't bother shooting a movie. From what I hear, it's they got a pretty big stronghold. So I guess that was their way of saying, hey, we made a movie that really made unions look like a bunch of bad guys, but we love you, we swear. So anyway, all in all, decent movie. It's nothing amazing, nothing you need to see, but I did enjoy it. If you've been thinking about checking this one out, if you just want to see an interesting kind of feel-good movie, check it out. Then one that I was very interested in, simply because this is an asylum movie, and that is The Haunting of Whaley House. And yes, Cool Duder is in here. First movie I've ever seen Cool Duder in. I know he's in a lot of movies. I think I checked his IMDb. It was like 75 movies or something like that. So a lot of movies he's been in. And this is the first one I've ever actually seen him in. I didn't know he was in this. He's in the very first scene. There's a little kind of like intro scene to the movie. And when he popped up, I was like, hey, Cool Duder. That's something you don't see very often, or at least for me, I don't see very often in movies. So it was pretty cool to see him pop up. All in all, the movie was alright. It's not that great. It's a haunted house movie. Very mediocre. It's an asylum movie, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. You expect mediocre, and that's what you're getting. Was it a bad movie? No, I wouldn't say it was necessarily bad. It had its moments, kept me entertained. Again, it's an asylum movie, but all in all, it's definitely nothing you need to see. Again, if you like asylum movies, check it out. If you have seen some asylum movies and you're like, this is not my thing, then no. You don't need to check this one out. But there is a fantastic scene here, though. It's one of our characters is calling out the ghosts, and he's got some things to say to him, and it is absolutely hilarious. I was laughing. I mean, I had tears running down my face laughing at this scene. It was hilarious. and I loved it. I'd see the movie almost as worth seeing just for that one scene alone. It had me cracking up, and also based on true events. So there you go. But anyway, guys, when I say check this one out, if you like Asylum movies, see it because it was somewhat decent. But if Asylum's not your thing, then there's really no reason to check it out because it's an Asylum film. Then I finished up Everybody Loves Raymond, the complete 7th season. As I've been saying, Everybody Loves Raymond is absolutely fantastic. Just picked up seasons 7, 8, and 9 to finish off my series, so I've been trying to get through these. Busted this one out pretty quickly, and I'm still loving the absolute hell out of this show. It is fantastic, and I cannot wait to move on to the next season, which I technically already have started. But I'm loving this. I can't believe I waited all these years to check out this show. So it's a fantastic sitcom. If you're a fan of sitcoms, check out Everybody Loves Raymond. I'd say especially if you're you have a family. Although I gotta say, in the later seasons, the kids are almost getting pushed to the side. The earlier seasons, they talked a lot about family along with the kids. It was the wife, the brother, the parents, and the kids. Now it seems like the kids are kind of getting pushed to the side. They're not in every episode. You don't see them a ton. They only pop up every couple episodes. So the kids not in these later seasons so much, which is that a bad thing or a good thing? I kind of like to see them more because I think you could base more funny moments around children. I mean, children are a big part of, you have a family, you have kids. That's a pretty big part. So I don't know. It is what it is. But all in all, it's still very funny. I'll admit that maybe watching the family argue about stupid stuff is kind of getting maybe a little old because they're just always bickering, which was pretty funny at first. But now it seems to be getting almost a little stale in a way because it's just like, it's gotten to the point where you're like, all right, we get it. The family's ridiculous. But you think after like the 900th time of them like complaining about something, maybe they start to put two and two together. Maybe they realize they should calm down a bit. I don't know. That's just me. But again, I don't want to like rip this apart because it's not. It's a great sitcom. Check out Everybody Loves Raymond. I'm still really enjoying this show. It's just, again, after all these seasons, you can see things starting to dwindle down. You know why this is only going to go 2 more seasons. It makes sense. There's not too much more they can go with. The story's just kind of starting to, again, dwindle down. But regardless, great series. Check it out. Season 7 was fantastic. Oh boy. Then some more Asylum here. Although this technically isn't an Asylum picture. It was just Asylum Presents. Who the hell put this out? Faith Films. So yeah, that is 2012 Dooomsday. When I saw the movie starts up and it says, Faith, brought to you by Faith Films. I'm like, Faith Films? Like, as in like faith in religion? Faith? Like, because usually when you see the word faith, it's usually Christianity. And I'm not trying to knock Christianity or anything like that. Whatever. That's your, I'm not religious, but if you are, more power to you. Very cool. Whatever. To each their own, I say. But I was expecting just a cheesy 2012 kind of rip-off, end of the world disaster film, but super cheesy Asylum feel. That's what I was expecting. And although we got that, very preachy. And that was my downfall. This movie is definitely a bit preachy at time and kind of not really my thing. I don't really want a preachy film. As I'm not really religious, I don't really want a preachy film. I have nothing wrong with religion in film. I mean, Da Vinci Code, Exorcism, stuff like that. Movies like that have plenty of religious stuff in it. I watch religious documentaries and stuff like that. I mean, I've seen documentaries on Christianity and Jesus and Judaism and Buddha and all different religions. That's fine. I'm interested in that stuff. Bring it on. But I don't really like being preached to, and I kind of felt like I was in this one. They were really trying to get preachy, where this one character didn't believe in God, and he was like, "Oh no, you should," and preaching about why God is so great and wonderful. And this one, again, the one main character is kind of like, "No, I don't believe in him," and that's silly. Why should I believe in God? And yeah, so don't see this. I would say you don't need to see this one. Again, I thought it was going to be just a fun, cheesy film, and it could have been, but the whole preachy aspect of it just kind of threw me off, and it wasn't even cheesy enough to live up to that. Maybe the cheese factor could have overridden the preachiness, but it really didn't. And all in all, it's just kind of a bad film with a bunch of preachy messaging thrown in, and that just kind of threw me off. So 2012 Dooomsday, you don't need to see it. Now, movie you definitely have to see because Wes Anderson is a god when it comes to movies, and that is The Grand Budapest Hotel. As soon as I picked this up, I watched it the very same day because I'd heard such good things about it. Plus, it's Wes Anderson. To the best of my knowledge, I've never seen a Wes Anderson movie that I don't like. I remember back in the day, like back when in like 2001, when I first started to like really get into movies, I remember some of his movies I wasn't like a huge fan of because he's got a certain style, and you got to be into his style to really enjoy his films. And as somebody who was just starting out, just starting to get into movies and didn't really know what kind of movies I liked yet, and didn't really understand, artsy movies all that much yet. I was very kind of a newbie to all different types of films. I knew kind of like the mainstream stuff, and that was it. So watching some Wes Anderson's films early on, I was a little kind of put off by them. But as time went on, I just started really getting into all different types of movies and genres and all kinds of artsy stuff and whatnot. Wes Anderson became a huge just love of mine. I love his movies. They're fantastic. And if you like his movies, this is another one you have to see. Very funny, very enjoyable, wacky story, as they always are. This was a great watch. I'm not going to get into the plot too much because it is what it is. Just about this hotel and the owner and telling this story and like how the Grand Budapest Hotel came to be and whatnot. So very interesting story though. Again, very funny, great characters. It's Wes Anderson. That should be enough said. Check this one out if you haven't seen it. I'm sure you've heard great things already, but if you haven't seen it, it is great. See it. The next movie I watched, I wasn't a big fan of, and that was The Last of the Blonde Bombshells, and it's an HBO movie. So when I see that HBO logo right there, a lot of times I'll just pick stuff up. I'll blind buy it. I go, HBO title, I'm buying it, because I tend to really enjoy their movies. Almost all HBO movies I've ever seen, I just really enjoy. They're just well done. They have a certain kind of feel to them. It's a little, I don't say low budget, but not like Hollywood budget. You can sort of tell, but it has this great kind of warm feeling, and I really sort of like their movies. I like the feeling of their movies, and this one had that feeling. I just didn't care for the story so much. It's all about Judi Dench really wanting to get her old band back together. She had this band from World War II that was all these girls except for our one male there in drag on drums, which is an interesting part of the story. But she just basically wants to get her band back together and kind of like relive her glory days in this band. And she's getting this band back together for her I think her granddaughter's in like either high school, I think middle school. She's pretty young, so probably middle school. She's having a dance, and she wants to get the band back together for this dance. And it didn't really go anywhere in my opinion. It just kind of felt blah. I mean, she tries to get this band back together, finds out some people are dead, some people are in prison, the whole band's not around anymore, gets as many members as she can back together, and of course they put on the show, and they're great, and the crowd, the little, the crowd of kids love them and stuff, whatever. But it's just them telling the story of how the band came to be, what ended up happening to the band. And that's really it. And it could have been interesting, but in the end, I just wasn't blown away by the story. I thought it was kind of slow, and just didn't really, like I said, didn't really go anywhere for me. It kind of dragged on. That was my main problem with this. So it could have been an interesting story, but all in all, like I said, it just kind of dragged on. I wasn't blown away by it. And if you want to nitpick, which I sometimes like to do, drove me nuts when they would show the band playing live, and there'd be all these instruments playing that weren't actually in the band. I love when I absolutely love when the drummer gets they find out it's a man, and they make him go to war because he didn't have a choice. He had to get drafted. He had to go to war. And then they show the band playing live without a drummer, and there's drums in the background. It's like, what the fuck? So just nitpicking. But in the end, the Last of the Blonde Bombshells, I didn't really care for it. As far as an HBO title goes, I just thought it was a little slow and just dragged on a bit, and it's really nothing you need to see. Then I finished up season 2 of what is by far one of the funniest shows on TV right now, and that is Modern Family. I am loving this so much. As I mentioned, the wife got me into this. She was watching a few episodes, so I should check it out. I did, loved it, and we've been busting through these seasons, and I can't get up this show. It's just extremely funny. I am laughing so incredibly hard at this all the time. It's just laugh after laugh after laugh, and definitely by far, like I said, one of the funniest shows on TV right now, in my opinion. There's a lot of great shows on TV right now, but I'd say this by far falls into the category of one of the funniest. This definitely makes me laugh more than many other shows. I'd say like maybe It's Always Sunny, in my opinion, is probably one of the funniest on TV right now. The Modern Family, definitely probably as far as TV seasons I've seen, by far probably the second funniest, I'd say. So great sitcom. Check this one out. It'll have you laughing just hysterically from start to finish. Every episode is brilliant, and it's definitely one of those shows where if you have the seasons, you finish up one season, you're like, or one episode, you're like, I gotta see the next episode. You just want to keep going and going and going because you do not want the laughs to stop. You've been laughing so hard the entire time. You just want to keep on laughing. So great series. Check out Modern Family. It's brilliant. I'm loving this, and I do have seasons 3 and 4. Just picked up season 4, working my way through season 3 right now, and I cannot wait to get through that and get on the season 4. I want to watch. I just want to sit down, and just marathon it really, because I'm just loving it so much. Anyway, so the next two titles I watched, these are both National Geographic titles. First one here being Grand Canyon, America's Wild Spaces. Pretty decent documentary all about the Grand Canyon. Found out something that I didn't know while watching this one that really disturbs me, and that is the fact that the Grand Canyon is done growing. Not because of nature, because of us. I didn't realize that we built a big-ass dam, like, right at the beginning of the Grand Canyon, and because of that, it's done. It's not going to grow anymore. Scientists are like, nope, the Grand Canyon's finished, unless we get rid of that dam, of course. And I'm like, what the hell? Get rid of the dam. I know it's, a hydroelectric dam and creates electricity for God knows how many hundreds of millions or whatever of people, thousands of people, whatever, but you're screwing up nature. So now I didn't realize that. Now that Grand Canyon Dam is kind of pissing me off. That damn dam. So I didn't know that. So kind of bummed. I always assumed the Grand Canyon was something that was always growing, always continuing to grow. Even to this day, it's getting deeper and bigger. Apparently that's not the case. So yeah, I would say my only downfall with this is it jumped around a lot. It kind of went all over the place. It talked about all different sorts of things, from the Native Americans who lived there to how it was created to wildlife and plant life, and it just kind of went all over the place. I'd say that was like one of my main downfalls with this, is that it didn't really stick to one thing. But all in all, it's a decent documentary. If you're into the Grand Canyon, check it out. Not much more to say about it than that. If you like Nat Geo, like the Grand Canyon, if it seems like something you're interested in, then you should see it. And I can say the exact same thing about the Great Inca Rebellion. Also found out some interesting things about this. I was always wondering how the conquistadors pretty much just destroyed an entire civilization. And as it turns out, the Incas kind of like took over, and a lot of other civilizations, it wasn't just Inca, it was Inca and then all these other civilizations, they weren't too thrilled with the Incas taking over, so they kind of teamed up with the conquistadors and overthrew them. And of course, once they teamed up with the conquistadors, overthrew them, the conquistadors went, hey, fuck you, and then went after the other groups, and that's how it came to be. So it's amusing, because they were saying in this documentary that in all the the conquistadors records and whatnot, like no point did they mention they ever had any help. In all the records, it basically makes it sound like they overthrew this great power. Just a few thousand men overthrew this huge number, this giant army by themselves, which obviously is ridiculous. How the hell would they overthrow this giant army, even with like disease and modern weapons? It's still a pretty big force to overthrow, and they had plenty of help. That's how they did it. So interesting documentary. Again, when it comes to Nat Geo, all I can really say though is, if you like National Geographic documentaries and this sounds like something you're interested in, see it. It was well done, as Nat Geo always is. And then finally, the last title here I have to show you. This one I've been really interested in seeing, because I've heard such good things over the years. The past few years this has been out. A lot of people have been reviewing this one, and it's definitely something I had wanted to see, and that was VHS. Finally checked this one out, and I loved it. I thought it was great. Now, I will say not every segment was amazing. Some were better than others, but in the end, I didn't really hate any of the segments. There wasn't like a single one that I disliked. I just thought some were much better than others, which all these kind of anthology movies, that's kind of how they go. You're gonna have some segments that are awesome and some segments that are not so awesome, unless you watch certain movies with. I'm not gonna get into certain things like movie 43 and stuff like that. Yeah, we don't, and like ABCs of Death and stuff like that. We don't need to get into those movies, but many pet segments in those. But for the most part, if you have a good movie, you're gonna get at least a decent amount of segments. And I really did enjoy all, like I said, all the stories in this. I really did enjoy for the most part. Again, some were better than others, but in the end, I didn't hate a single one, and they all just felt fun to me. So I really enjoyed this movie, and from what I hear, the sequel blows this out of the water. So I cannot wait to see VHS 2. I got to get a hold of that now because, like I said, I really enjoyed this one. And if the sequel's better, I am dying to see it. So definitely had to see this, and it was fantastic, just as everybody has pretty much been saying. So VHS, check it out. If you like horror movies, if you like anthology movies, see this. A whole bunch of different segments, a whole bunch of different horror stories all thrown in together. But, of course, all tied together by one story, but as they always are. But in my opinion, very well done, very interesting. Not every segment's, gold, but they're all pretty damn good. So VHS, check it out. Great horror film. All right, guys, and there you go. That was everything that I just recently watched. So a lot of fantastic stuff there. Again, I'd pretty much recommend almost everything. I'm going to say see everything, really, except for 2012 Doomsday and The Last of the Blonde Bombshells. I wasn't a big fan of either one of these movies. And The Haunting of Whaley House, I would say see it if you like asylum movies. It's nothing you need to see again. If you like asylum movies, check it out because it's pretty good. And everything else, definitely check out. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Like I always say, if you like this video, please give me a like. If you're not already subbed, please do. And if you're not already over at cinemasickness.com, head on over there, check it out. There's a lot more to see there than just these videos. All kinds of things on up-to-date information, like up-to-date deals that are going on. So definitely check that out, of course, while you're there. You can also check out Team Sickness, a lot of great videos from those guys. And also be sure to click on the merchandise tab while you're there and purchase yourself a Cinema Sickness sticker and or a Cinema Sickness button. They're dirt cheap, and I would definitely appreciate the support. And you can also find links to all my social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. It's all there. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.